Welcome to the Spaceless Realms Podcast. I'm your unusual host, Kalki, today, but I'm always a guest anyways. So regardless, we're going to be interviewing Logan today, and I'm going to be interviewing myself, and he's going to be interviewing me. So it's going to be a mix and match of all kinds of things. And we're going to be talking about balancing adversity in life and how, with some wisdom that we acquire with time, we actually learn to say push back a bit on our limits and learn to take it easy in certain situations, but then in other situations we do the exact opposite. Now in some situations we start out with a lot of magic in life, and towards the middle of life, towards adult life even more so, we start losing that magic and focusing more on so-called grounded colonial reality. But then sometimes people do the opposite and they start out very colonized, start out very much in the midst of colonial worlds, and then they grow to encompass all the magic of creation. So there's this kind of a weird paradox and conundrum that happens. There's this balance, which is why we're thinking about talking about balancing adversity today. And this is again something that's completely out of the blue that we just thought up in 2 seconds. That's Logan came up with the idea for the concept today. So this is an exercise in brain which also balances the sides of the brain and balances, in a certain sense, the tightrope walk of existence, because we have to learn to speak on the dot with no preparation about subjects that we have no clue about in many different senses, but that we're discovering in the process of speaking about that. And that's why it's so important to stay humble and to find that balance.
Sure.
You look like the mysterious man that's holographically appearing through the door.
Honestly, nothing's coming to my mind. Then I think that's a good sign, because that means that there's not really an adversary in my life, like I'm not really against anything right now. I was against things in the past, but I've been like facing those energies and just besting them instead of them besting me. So that's why I'm
Mm-hmm.
in such like a pure state of consciousness right now. I'm just empty-minded, focusing on the moment. I got some rice cooking, listening to the birds, feeling like the breeze, just enjoying the moment.
And that's the balance of Buddha right there, and of Tara, is literally just, instead of me talking from the Western perspective, trying to encompass the unencompassable and trying to explain a reality that cannot have words put to it. You're just like basking there in the holographic sunlight,
Yeah.
and it's just shining through the prism refraction of the black scrying mirror of the cell phone.
Yeah.
And you're just basking in the essence of existence. Vibrational frequency is just stable. That's the exact example of what we're actually talking about today.
Yeah, that fact of just being stable and like just not being too up and down, where you're go climbing the heights, climbing the heights, climbing the heights, but then you just hit that crash, or you're going down, going down, going down, things then start to get better. It's like you find that middle ground where you just like encompass both of those energies. And also it's like interesting how like when I was just standing here, my mind was looking for something to lay that adversary kind of title upon. My mind was looking for an enemy, but the enemy didn't exist, because I
Mm-hmm.
conquered that enemy. And since that enemy only exists within myself, I've conquered that part of myself. And I'm not saying that I'll conquer myself forever. Like, of course, other other trials and tribulations will appear in my life, but I'll face that with the power of everything that I've learned now, like here and now, in the past and future and present. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's beautiful because that's a Qigong principle. In
Mhm.
Qigong, you have no adversary, you have no enemy.
Mhm.
You realize that the energy all flows interconnected. And so, therefore, if you have no enemy, your enemy cannot harm you. And the ultimate practice in Qigong is to become untouchable, literally. And that's the reason why they called people in India untouchables, Doms, Dalits, Ashyats, because nobody could actually mess with them. Nobody could literally physically touch them. They would catch a disease or they would get sick if they tried to curse them or touch them.
Really?
Yeah, that's powerful black magic.
Wow. I want to get to that level. That's something else. Hmm.
I told myself one day I wanted to get to that level as well too. I feel like I'm getting there, but I'm not quite there.
Wait, so how, I want to talk about that more. How does like one even prepare themselves for that kind of alchemical transformation, and how do you even become that? Because I'm sure.
That's the point. It's the conundrum that we talk about again today, is not trying to be that, but then having the desire to be that without trying to be that. If that makes sense, having the pure intention of wishing to be that for the betterment of the cosmos and of the planet out of completely selfless goals. But then at the same time, realizing it's impossible to achieve, but knowing that the impossible is achievable through the cosmos. Then you've got this triple paradox that's intertwining itself. And the next thing you know, the impossible can manifest from you having a desire, which manifests through the chakric flow of energy coming from the core of the earth, from Agartha. And it flows through your body and manifests through your crown chakra. It reverberates as a thought into the cosmos, and the cosmos thinks, well, he's not cocky, she's not cocky, they're not cocky. They're not trying to gain personal gain or powers or energy over people. They just really want to do something good. So then it's possible for the impossible to happen.
It's like all those like near-death stories where, yeah, it's just like the impossible happens, miracles.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's the thing. Sometimes, like when we talk about the beginning and people becoming like safer with time, I've learned in certain ways. I don't drive as crazy as I used to. I barely drive at all anymore. There's a lot of things that I've changed in my life over the years, but there's some that I've increased in difficulty, that I've increased in training, that I've increased in other ways. So it's not necessarily that when we grow older with age, we get more careful or responsible. I think we become more wise. We become wiser, and we become wiser in a way that actually benefits us in ways where if we train in something we're highly advanced in, we can do something that seems more difficult and dangerous still at an older age. That's what great martial arts masters could do. Qigong masters, Venusian arts masters, yogic masters, they get to older ages and they're even more flexible, more supple, more death defying. But it's not everything in the body that can do that. It's not every part of who we are that can achieve the supernatural. As a youth, we have the most magic in ourselves. And that magic is something we need to regain and protect the sacred youth that's inside of us by protecting the youth around us. Otherwise, we'll never reach those supernatural levels and we'll never be able to transcend to that balanced state. Is the balance is basically between the elder form of who we are and the youth form of who we are. And the happy middle is not adulthood like some people think, but eternal teenage youth in a way that manifests as a responsible grown-up person. But you don't want to be adulterous because that's a false middle path.
What does that mean? Adulterous.
Adulterous, betrayal, adult, adulation, worshiping excessively, betraying. So it's a bad route. It's like a false middle path. It's like shunning the youth, abusing the elders, abusing women, and then you become a responsible adult in society. And the next thing you know, you're betraying everyone else around you. So you can make centralized funds like money or something. But it's really ridiculous because we sacrifice everything at the expense of an illusion of independence.
All right, well, I feel like that's a good place to end it off. I feel like that was a good little chat, you know? We talked some good things.
No, I'm gonna blaze this spliff and I'm gonna call it a day too, man. I really appreciate this because this was really last minute. So it's always beautiful having impromptu conversations with you because it's like the whole world keeps revolving, you know? It gives a purpose to life.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I feel that, man. Thank you. I'm blessed the space.
Yo,
Closing
thank you.
Spaceless Realms. Yeah. All right. Peace out.
Peace to everyone.